we got into the lifestyle as if there'd been an earthquake or an atomic bomb. Like, we didn't ease into it. So we had to fix annihilation rather than fix some small issues or misunderstandings or...
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 85. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have an interview with Em and Steve.
Emily.
Well, we call her Em.
Well, she calls her Em.
Okay, sure. But they're a super fun couple from Australia, and... I don't know. You're going to get some laughs in this episode.
Well, I would also like to say that if ever there were an episode where you could learn a thing or two
about what not to do,
that was how they pitched it to us via email.
That is.
Would you like to have people come on and teach your listeners how not to do swinging? It's a super awesome conversation. There's some really great conversations about. Ended up going to counseling and therapy and how they've worked through this. And so it's a fantastic conversation with the most literal swingers we have ever interviewed.
Yep. You're going to enjoy this one, we promise. But first, a couple of quick announcements. We are going on the road. If you haven't been listening lately, we're super excited about this, and we are hosting a few meet and greets coming up. So the first one will be in New York City, and that will be on Thursday, October 3rd. If you want to find more information, go to the events page on our website. You can also sign up for our cool email list there.
It's cool?
Yeah.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Right.
So yeah, well, that'll be where you'll be able to get the most up-to-date information is on the website and through the email list. So
we promise not to spam with the email list either. It's just going to be an update about when our meet and greets are. And then you can also RSVP there. So if you do want to come, please RSVP. It gives us an idea of how many people are going to be there.
And this one is free.
Yes.
And we're doing another one in Boston later in October.
Mid-October. We don't have the date yet. We will be announcing. Or the
location. So if you know of cool locations in Boston, you can find our email at normalizingnonmonogamy.com under the contact us page.
Yeah, reach out. Tell us, please.
And the last one for now is in Toronto.
Yeah, we're going to Canada.
It's a Canadian word. I didn't know how to read it.
You didn't know how to read it.
I don't read Canadian.
We are doing a meet and greet in Toronto on October 26th. That is a Saturday, but it's going to be an afternoon affair. So don't worry, all of your Halloween parties will not be impacted by this.
This will be one of your Halloween parties, however. Also, this one's going to be really cool. We have reserved an entire space for us. Well, not just me and Emma, but for our fans and
for the
people who want to come. And we're going to try something really different on this one. It can be free if you want it to be free, and it's going to be a pay what you want sort of strategy. We're going to try this out, moving forward as we do these events, where it's more than just we're meeting at a bar.
So anytime we're putting on an event that is a little more than just your informal meet and greet, we will be doing the pay it what you want method, and that allows you to, if you're able and want to support us, we would love it, and if not, you're able to come anyway.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah. But
either way, you're going to want to be on that email list.
Yes, that's true. Go out to the events page, sign up. Come on, people.
Nope. Close to last thing.
Okay, the next thing. Tomorrow. Nope, not tomorrow.
Tonight.
We're recording this the night before.
Tonight at 9:30, there is a Patreon Q&A call. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, good for you. You still have time to make it. And we will see everybody there. We're super excited for it.
Yep. That's September 18th at 9:30 p.m.
Tonight.
Yep.
Not tomorrow.
Right.
Also, back to road trip time. we forgot to mention one thing. Somebody wrote it down out of order.
I did.
We are, after the Boston affair and after the Toronto affair, we are heading westward to California.
We will be.
Southern California.
And we will be in Southern California for the month of November right now.
As a trial period, and hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, it will be a slightly more permanent move, but we don't know for sure yet. We're in flux.
Yep. We'll see. So if you're in the Southern California area and want to reach out to us, please do. The other last thing, almost the last thing.
No, this is the last thing.
Okay. It's
your list.
I know, but you said we were going to move that up there.
I don't think so.
Anyway.
We'll see. Back in early August, when we went to the Club Euphoria foam party, we had the pleasure to meet Andy and David, who were the founders, or are the founders, of Double Date Nation, which is a new website for meeting other people, primarily in the swinging space, but it's open for interpretation, I think. So yeah, they're just launching their site, and it's been up for probably close to a year now, or at least a few months, and they are looking to try and really build up their list. So as you can imagine, when you're creating a site like this, it's sort of that chicken and the egg situation where, right out the gate, everybody wants to join a site to meet people, but there's not a ton of people. So let's give them a shot. We're on the site. We've been checking it out the last couple weeks, and it's definitely a step up from some of the other ones in terms of user interface. So they have given us a discount code to try it out for 3 months for free and help try to build up that base before you have to start paying.
Yep.
So the code is Emma, or you can just use the links on the resources page.
Yep. So check it out. Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
And we look forward to seeing you over there. Find us when you get on there. Say hello.
And in the meantime, go listen to Em and Steve, right?
I would hope so, unless they just tuned in for this part.
That's true. Just wanted to hear the announcements.
All right, well, let's go.
Well, you two are clearly having a wonderful night, and we thank you for spending part of it with us and chatting.
This is the problem with doing international interviews is they're well into their evening, and we're just crawling out of bed.
Yeah, I know.
But we're welcome to the show. We're happy to have you. Thank you for coming on. Em and Steve.
Yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you, Emma and Finn, for having us. And I'm sorry to interrupt your Pop-Tart session this morning, Finn.
Those are toaster strudels, okay? You think I'm a Pop-Tart guy? I don't think so.
Toaster strudels?
Toaster strudels.
I don't think I've ever seen you eat a toaster strudel.
Yep.
What is toaster strudel?
It's like an expensive Pop-Tart.
I've never even seen a Pop-Tart. Anyway.
It's like a cheap toaster strudel.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, for the listeners who don't know you at all, we've emailed a little bit, but where are you at and who are you?
So I'm Em. I'm 48. We've been married for 22 years, together for 24. 6 kids, all of ours, all belong to us. I mean, they're both ours.
They do now, after the kidnapping.
They're not Brady. We're not Brady Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone says that they're all yours. And do you have a television?
I'm certainly not Mike Brady, given what he got up to.
You?
I'm Steve. I'm 48 and
A liar.
And
He's 50.
Happily married to beautiful Em. So, and enjoying our life together.
Yeah.
And you are coming to us, we determined, directly on the opposite side of the globe from Western Australia, somewhere in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right.
Most isolated city in the world.
Yeah. Awesome. We would have been in the same hemisphere if we were still in South America, but nope, not right now.
We wouldn't have been much closer. But
no.
We would have.
No, you wouldn't.
So, well, again, thank you for both coming on. Do you mind sharing a little bit about I guess, why you're here. Why are you on a podcast about non-monogamy?
I started listening to you guys, I don't know, maybe a year ago, because we entered non-monogamy with a little bit of a bang. And we had done no research. We knew nothing. We had no language. We had no rules. We hadn't even talked about it. And we went from 0 to 100, literally from 0 to 100. And it really freaked me out. I thought, gosh, I have to make some sense of this. So I think I reached out to you guys after we'd been in the lifestyle for about 6 months and said, do your listeners want to hear about how not to do non-monogamy?
Well,
we could give you a really great how not to guide.
Well, take us back to, you alluded to there was one evening in particular where you wound up in a situation from that 0 point to 100. I guess maybe take us back to that night. Tell us what happened. Whatever. When's it a day? I don't know. Take us back to what happened and tell us what you did wrong.
Yeah, because if you went from 0 to 100, you have to explain how that happened.
Well, that particular night, I don't think we did.
No, I mean, how did we get to the opportunity to get to 100?
Sure.
So what happened? We've been together for 20 years, that particular year, and our eldest daughter was on a gap year in the UK, and we'd never spent more than 3 or 4 nights apart ever in 22 years. So because she was very young when she went over, I spent a good number of weeks with her overseas, and because one of our children has special needs, I spend a little bit of time with him in the north of Western Australia. We have where he really thrives. So we had some long patches where we were apart, I think 4 weeks, which was a big deal for us. And so we were doing some, we trying to be a bit sexy and keep in touch over technology and whatnot. And and I said, I found this site, and it's called RHP, for anyone who's in Australia, which is, you probably heard about Red Hot Pie, which is, it's for swingers. And Steve goes, oh, wow, that's amazing. This is on a Wednesday. And he was flying up to see me on the Saturday. And then on the Thursday, he said, we've got a date on the Saturday. And we knew nothing, like nothing. No language, no nothing. So
you went from Wednesday, you just found out about the site, to setting up a date for that Saturday.
Wednesday, from finding out that this lifestyle even exists and there is a thing called swingers and you can meet on the internet, to going on a date on a Saturday.
I found out about the internet.
So hold on. How do you what you're just stumbling around the internet and you're like, oh, swingers, like how do you get there?
How did I
get there? We'd always good question, Ben. Being the ones in our friends, we're always the first ones to get our gear off at a party, and we're always this has all come to us in hindsight, like 2020, and we'd always been a little more adventurous than
a little frisky,
but never done anything with any. Well, actually we had, but anyway, so the fantasy was we would be having sex and there'd be somebody else in the bedroom, or anyway. So I sort of thought, okay, well, we're sharing fantasies over the phone. We'll sex this up a bit, and came across this site, sent it to Steve, and the next thing, he's created this profile.
Bibbidi bang.
And by the way, we're going on a date on Saturday night. And I was like, so we didn't know the rules. We didn't know.
And we were very lucky with the first couple we met, who are just the most beautiful, adorable people.
We were very lucky.
And are still gorgeous friends. So, but I mean, that was by luck, not by good judgment on our part. So
Yeah.
No, but so we had all our kids with us, all 6. So we had to play at a hotel, obviously, which and so we sort of thought it was an opportunity to just get all of our sexual fantasies into one night. So Steve flies with a sex swing that we'd never even seen before, that he orders off the internet, that arrives like 2 days later, and we check in early at the hotel room, and he's drilling holes in the ceiling of the hotel. Bear in mind, A, we'd never been with anyone else, and C, we'd never used a sex swing. The hotel room is starting to look like Swiss cheese. We couldn't find a place to.
The first place I hung it up, I miscalculated the height, and it would have been wonderful if we'd had no legs whatsoever. Not so good. So I had to dismantle it from there, and then the drill broke. So that's it was a one.
So you had to go down to the hotel and ask.
It was one trip to the hardware store after another, I can tell you.
just
my little tip for swingers is buy good quality drills.
Yeah.
So did you think the term swinger meant you had to have a swing? Was that part of being brand new?
Apparently. We didn't know, and I thought that if you're going on a date, it meant we were like a sure thing, like it was like people say, what rules did you have? We're like, rules? Do you have what are rules?
The only rule was there weren't
no rules.
Yeah, like we're diving in deep right away, like this. You're going right for it.
But, with the benefit of hindsight, it was very lucky.
We were lucky
that the other couple was so beautiful, and it could have not been great. It was great, but that was my luck.
So had you talked about in the 2-day run up to this event? had you talked about like, here's what I would like to do, here's what I'd like to see you do, you just show up, start drilling holes, and
yes, exactly.
Are you kidding me? I was worrying about my hardware. I didn't have time for idle chit chat.
We had no idea. And then so we bring these people back to the hotel room, and it's tropical northwest Australia, so it's hot, and there's an outdoor spa. I think you call it a hot tub thing.
Yeah.
And so because they're seasoned, and they strip off and come in, and I'm like, ooh. So we all hop in, and then the next thing I know, Steve and the female, who's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've not seen him kissing with anybody, being with anybody. We hadn't talked about it. And I'm like, so that sort of moved off into it. We hadn't discussed rooms together. Do we need to stay? Because we had no language, we had nothing. And then so I started kissing the guy, and then we thought we better use the sex swing.
I did after the amount of effort I'd kind of put it up. I've got it myself if need be.
So away we went, and that was that night. But they went then. There's a sort of a lifestyle event that was happening in Australia and in Queensland a couple of weeks later. And they said, we met this couple, they're newbies. And the people that were on the lifestyle event with them said they are not newbies. I guarantee you they are not newbies. Newbies do not create Swiss cheese out of their hotel room.
All right, hold on. We got to go back.
I know.
So, like, we're leading into this night. Were either of you concerned? Were there worries, or was it just like,
shit scared? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like, we weren't
really scared. We were just deers in the headlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had no idea what was going to happen.
In your 20-year, in your 20-year relationship, you had never really talked about other people or anything like that?
We'd never talked about other people. We'd had we'd had some moments, for example, at one of our 40th where, the day after our wedding, for example, which we were married down south, would probably, if we'd had the language, we would have described as parallel play, in the sense that our best man and his now wife. We'd been in the hot tub in our room, and
people were getting frisky.
So if we'd known what that was, that's probably what we would have called that. And then at my 40th, we have a hot tub at our house, and one of my girlfriends had been playing with you in the...
She'd been doing a bit of downhill skiing with her husband and me in the hot tub, but nothing that you wouldn't do.
You know the downhill skiing.
Yeah.
But nothing that you couldn't do at church.
No, but she said, I remember hopping out of the hot tub and saying to one of my girlfriends, should I be upset that my best friend is playing with my husband on my 40th birthday? And I remember the outrageous bit was that it happened on my birthday, not that it had happened at all. I guess we were a little... That was the only
it was all, just all good friends. Nothing. Yeah, nothing yucky.
Yeah.
Nothing
yucky.
Okay. So going into this night, there was really no prior... There was some prior hints, some tastes, but nothing nothing you had really discussed about it. And you kind of both went in totally blind, other than a
completely
swing.
Other than a sex swing.
But were you worried? Were you worried? Like, what's going to happen? Is he going to fall in love with another woman? Yes.
No, not then. But afterwards, I just about sent myself crazy. Afterwards.
After that one night.
Well,
No.
But explain what happened after the first night.
You say it, Tony.
So, I think after the first night, Steve got a little bit of that, not so much NRE, but that real, oh my God, this is so exciting. We don't have much of a filter, like in the sense that neither of us is a very good handbrake for the other person. So he sort of attacked it with zeal.
Yeah.
You were quite enthusiastic about this.
I was, for a bit.
So that was a bit tricky for me. And because I didn't know anything, I thought, I literally didn't know there were podcasts. I hadn't read any books. And so because I didn't know anything, I hopped online like you do, and I found a lot of things that started talking about polyamory and relationships. And all I could see, because we went from 0 to full swap in the space of an hour, literally, I thought we were going to be on this trajectory towards an open marriage and polyamory, and it was terrifying for me.
And I did behave very poorly in that time of, mania, until I realised that my true love was...
Stop it.
No, I always knew that my true love was money, Kitty. My true love was home improvement. Honey. So
you organised. From there, we went. You got a little bit addicted to the excitement of the people are pinging us and people are calling or people are sending messages
and then and that was really bad. It was really bad for my, and I'm very sad.
It was just a little bit challenging.
Yeah.
But the next thing we know, we're having a house party.
At your house?
Yeah, the next thing I know, we are having a house party.
And that was the next day, I'm assuming? You flew back home, had the house party?
Pretty much. No, I think there were 2 weekends in between.
Okay.
So you just
I love that deep breath you just took.
Well, I'm just we. I think before we go to house party, we have to wrap up that first night, right? Like so it was a full swap and things. Well, I mean, did you both enjoy it?
Yeah.
I think everyone enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
And with, as I said, the people are the most
And we're still great mates with the couple.
great couple.
And we've mixed our families.
No.
I mean, we've introduced our families. We know their kids.
And we couldn't speak highly enough about them as people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they are just great people.
Yeah. Well, that's really awesome that you got lucky with the first people that you met.
So,
Yeah. Not so lucky at the house party, but
well, and coming out of that first night, were you both? I mean, clearly it sounds like Steve was like, "Hell yeah, this whole thing is for me." How were you feeling? Were you also like, "Yeah, no, I had a really great time. I want to keep doing this," or were you? I mean, this was sort of maybe before you had discovered that you were on the path to polyamory. Were you coming out of that first night? Were you excited? Was it good for you? I mean, was it an enjoyable evening? And
it was fun, and funnily enough, the next day,
I was looked like I'd been hit over the head with a mallet, and was wondering what was going on.
You were in shock.
Yeah.
I was okay.
And you were super cool.
And I said, look, it's just sex. You know, it's fun. It was adults playing. It was nothing bad. Our family's not. But that was the day after.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, I think you took that as permission to. I meant, don't feel so bad about it. I didn't mean take it and run with it to the ends of the earth.
Yeah. But it was exciting and new and something that you wanted to experience and wanted to keep going with.
At that time,
Yeah.
So
you went from. Is there any other questions from that night?
Well, how many swings did you hang for the house party? I'm assuming it was rows of them.
We couldn't find anywhere suitable to swing to hang it that was we thought was going to hold the weight of the swing.
And it wasn't from Wanda trying, I can tell you.
At our place. No, so the house party was a
few weekends later.
But this first play we played out of town. So second play is house party at our house. And I hadn't been particularly well, and Stephen had just gone ahead and organised 5 couples.
Yes.
And it was just presented as a fait accompli. They're coming Saturday night. They'll be here.
So this was a solo planned party, and he was just like, everyone's coming?
No, it wasn't. It was not completely solo plan, but it was certainly something that was
It was solo planned.
So you get presented the guest list, and by the way, they're all coming over. Okay.
Yeah. And make sure there's some hors d'oeuvres, and I'll do the drinks, and
clean the house. Yeah.
Come on, snap.
Yeah.
Make sure the pool's clean. Make sure the hot tub's hot.
Make sure the kids are out of the house.
We went to so much trouble to get rid of the kids. We had to pretend that we were fumigating the house. So we made them all stay at everybody else's. We rang our friends and said, you have to have this one, and you have to have this one, and you have to have this one.
And you're allowed to midday the next day because the nasty poison might still be here.
People actually bought it. We can't use that again.
Fumigation, regular fumigation is the key to cleanliness.
Yes.
Now we fumigate every weekend. All right. So tell us how the house party went.
Very, very badly.
Very, very badly. It was it was not great. We
Just like those.
So a couple of the couples were really sweet, and it was all fine.
You
But
haven't met any of these couples before?
Oh no, they just ended up at our place.
Not in this life.
No.
Yeah.
We've all met before at some stage.
No.
Yes. But you essentially invited a bunch of strangers to your house.
Nail on the head. Yeah. Yep. Come to our house. We don't know you from a bar of soap. And there were 3 couples that were really lovely, and we would see again. And there were
Sadly, they all left very quickly.
we invited a couple, which we've since, the local scene's not so big, and we have since found that we invited a well-established, quite aggressive couple who managed to, bear in mind this is our second play, very adeptly get rid of the other guests without us sort of realising what was happening, and also separate us into quite separate areas of the house. So I felt really unsafe, and you didn't feel very safe. Tell me, Emma, what...
I was a victim of domestic violence.
So Mama was getting slapped around in one bedroom by this woman, like
it was a Christmas ham, but
just.
You laugh about it, but that's not a.
No, you know, it was easy for me.
It was not your play. It was not your play style, but and meanwhile, I was out the back, getting tied up like a
Christmas turkey.
So Steve came out the back. I was tied up. I was shabaraged within an inch of my life. I think it took about 2 hours to untie me.
She looked like she'd been attacked by a giant spider.
And meanwhile, everybody else had left the house. So it's just now you and this other couple, and you've been sort of isolated.
Oh, so.
Yeah, I think everyone else went.
I think everyone else had gone home for a well-needed light in.
So that wasn't so great.
Super fantastic.
So we went and had a little bit of counselling after that, which was
well needed.
Yeah. So you didn't jump in and have another house party 2 weeks later, did you?
No, we did not. You are correct. You are like Nostradamus, I shall call you now. You predicted that very well.
So can you take us through how you were able to recover from this, and what you did to correct, and what has changed since then, and how you approach it now versus then? Because it was interesting, right? You started off with a bang, like you said, and it was good, and then you kept that bang going, and it got really bad, and so that can kind of mess with you.
Yeah.
Well, but I think also it all happened in such a short time that hearing you say that doesn't really make sense, in the sense that it was almost like it all happened at the same time. So it wasn't like it went good and then it went bad. It was still sort of the same experience, if that makes sense.
No, that's fair.
Only a couple weeks apart.
Yeah,
and all very new. So then we started to think that perhaps we should discuss. By this time, I had a chance to listen to some podcasts, and they'd said communication, talk, rules, or boundaries. So we tried to, didn't we? We tried to set some boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I said, I just don't want to do this anymore, and you were so sad about that.
Yeah, I was still in my sort of mania stage.
That I just didn't want to. You were getting so much pleasure that I figured that it's not like I wasn't. If I could have got over feeling unsafe, and I could have got over you organising things, and we could have put some boundaries in place, it would have been okay. So we sort of worked from there. So then we thought we'd do that. We thought it's not working well having house parties with people we don't know. Maybe we should go and see what it's like to go to a club, on the understanding that we weren't going to play and we were just going to see what it was like, and we were going to see, who was there and whatnot. So we'd been in the club for, I don't know.
And guys, let me just describe the club to you. Can you imagine, I know you guys can you imagine a part of Detroit which would be in a movie about urban decay?
We've been to such clubs, not necessarily in Michigan, but in parts of the country.
All I wanted to do was get out my scrubbing brush and some exit mold and some euthanasia tablets, and first of all euthanize most of the people there, and then tidy the joint, because it was a pigsty.
It was awful. So we walk in with another.
And I say that in a lovely way.
We walk in, and so the deal was we were going to try what it was, just go and see. We were going to watch. We weren't going to play. We were going to be voyeurs for the evening. We've gone with another couple.
We're going to be cleaners for the evening. I realise when we're talking.
Anyway, I lost sight of him for 5 seconds. I promise you it was 5 seconds. I looked around. I couldn't find him anywhere. I walked up the stairs into a room. He is tied to a St. Andrew's cross with this woman beating the crap out of him with a paddle. And I lost my shit.
Yeah. Oh, Steve.
I've certainly been tenderised in the lifestyle. If nothing else.
But I think that was fair reaction, don't you think?
If the agreement was you were going and nothing was going to happen, I would say, Steve, this one, you might not have done this one right.
You're a wise man.
So this was a couple of weeks after the house party?
No, this
is about 3 months later.
And you said you had gone and done some counseling in there as well to try and just make me feel a bit safer in terms of putting some boundaries that would make me feel safe. So the issue was the first boundaries that we put in place lasted literally the time it took you to get up the stairs and get tied to a cross,
which wasn't long.
So that was challenging because
So when you say feel safer, are you meaning like physically safer or safer in the relationship?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
After that.
After being tied up like a Charlotte's Web, and then being separated. I feel that we were legitimately corralled into separate areas.
Right.
And I mean, we've been together for a very long time. We've got children with special needs. We've got, we're good communicators, and we thought we were good communicators. Mm-hmm. And it was a shock, I think, to find that we perhaps weren't. Well, it was interesting because when we went to counselling, it turned out that we weren't being counselled about being in the lifestyle. We were being counselled about the fact that we weren't communicating, which was interesting because we thought we were good at communicating, because the sex bit wasn't even...
No, that wasn't...
It wasn't on the radar.
I don't know if you guys...
therapy.
Maybe you guys have found that common in your... with all your knowledge of the lifestyle people, that often the issue that surfaces in the lifestyle is one that's inherent in the marriage anyway.
Yes.
Not it's sort of, I don't know, it's a pimple that's popped by the lifestyle, but it's not a pimple that didn't exist before. And we've had the most
we
beautiful
have
marriage.
we're as
and
close as
and always have and always will do. But that was a very interesting
time.
Yeah, well, it was a terribly traumatic time, but I think a very interesting time because it was sort of making us reevaluate. Are we really properly communicating, leaving aside all this fiddling around and recreational hobbying lifestyle stuff? Are we properly communicating anyway? So and I'm sure other people have different things. They're probably happy as clams until they get in the lifestyle and it's a disaster, or it's great, or
Oh yeah, it definitely happens.
Well, and I think what you touched on there is something that a lot of people experience, which is the lifestyle can sort of act like a magnifying glass, right? So if there's cracks in the foundation, they can get amplified very quickly, and it sounds like that was sort of what happened.
Yeah, but not really. That is because, perhaps I think in our case, we got into the lifestyle as if there'd been an earthquake or an atomic bomb. We didn't ease into it. So we had to fix annihilation rather than fix some small issues or misunderstandings or that had sort of crept up along the way. It was like this, as I said at the beginning, from 0 to 100. It was a major car crash.
Right.
It was very scary, I think, for both of us. It was certainly very scary for me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, maybe let's jump ahead really quick to where you are today, like how you approach it today.
Because this has only been a year-ish total, right?
Yeah. It's coming up sort of 2 years now.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it'll be 2 years in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So let's jump up to today, where you are and how you do it, and then let's jump back and say how did you get there and why did you keep going, right? Because it would be easy for people to look at what happened and them to say why are you even thinking about trying to keep doing this, and why are we still going for it? But
why is money still sitting next to me?
Can I answer that question first?
Absolutely.
Because we, in that, between the house party and the St Andrew's Cross, Stephen had booked us a trip to Desire. So we.
So it was the non-refundable deposit. That's what kept you coming back.
So we did that as well.
And that was fabulous.
We had a really great time. We just loved it. It was great. As you know, the people are friendly. It was gorgeous. We had a lovely time.
The food is fantastic.
So we came back, and then it was his birthday, and we got outed, basically. And I'll come back to the outing if you're interested. But at the point where we got outed, because we're both lawyers in a small town, and it's just not where I wanted to be. So we had some more counselling at that point, and it got to the point where the counsellor said, are you prepared to stay in this marriage, or do you want to leave? And I said to Steve, you need to make a choice. I'm not going to make a choice for you. I'm not sure that I can keep up with you, or do I want to keep up with you? You need to choose. And he said, I don't think I can leave the lifestyle. And for me, that was that was...
Yeah, extremely hard to hear.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
And we had other stuff going on in our lives at the time. But So we kept going with the counselling, and it wasn't that I didn't want to be in the lifestyle, or we didn't want to be in the lifestyle. It was just that there was no boundaries that we could put in place that it seemed that you could adhere to.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, what are we doing differently now? We've gone through the boundaries and the what I need to feel safe, and we're doing better.
Yeah, I think we're doing well.
In it. So what you go ahead, and I'd like to hear what you think our boundaries are.
Well, an absolute boundary for us is that we stay together in a lifestyle environment and
close proximity.
Yeah, where Nick can always see me and I can always see her, and we're just shoulder to shoulder and side by side, and nothing happens unless both of us are.
That's a big one. When Stephen said nothing happens unless both of us are happy.
Yeah.
I'm such a people pleaser that I found myself in situations where I really should have said no.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to be assertive, and I have had to learn to say, instead of saying that makes me feel uncomfortable and expecting Stephen to say, recognise that means no, I've had to learn to say no.
Yeah. And also I think I think we've both approached, and I've become more, recently there's been occasions where we've looked at each other and we've both gone.
You've become a little bit more discerning.
Yeah.
Your mania has kind of...
Yeah, has eased off. I've gone through my life crisis. I've had that little time.
Yeah.
You'll get that in due course, Finn. So.
What's that? Oh, I'll get there.
Yeah. That midlife crisis?
Yeah.
35 years, you'll get a midlife crisis.
I'm planning to hit midlife around 70 if everything goes according to plan.
It's a very wise.
Yeah, but to your point, being the people pleaser and trying to learn to say no, that can be very challenging, because I can relate a lot to where you're coming from on that, and it's really difficult to either get out of a situation sometimes or stop it before it goes any further, because a lot of times you don't want to be the party pooper, right? Or somebody who just cancels all the fun.
You don't want to be the party pooper, absolutely, and you don't want to be the blocker, and you don't want to. I don't want to rock the boat. The other thing that I do is, if I'm going to do something, I do it
100%.
100%. So if I've decided I'm not going to rock the boat, I probably on the outside look like I'm having a really great time.
Yeah.
So that's a very conflicting message
to send
that I've been giving off to when I come home, and it looks like on the outside I've had a really great night, but I've actually felt quite uncomfortable the whole night.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn to become more assertive. So in a lot of ways I'm a much more self-aware, more assertive person, and not just in the lifestyle, but generally,
Mm-hmm.
And just as a little practical skill, because I think from a guy's point of view, it's always good to have a little practical skill, and I'm certainly an example to be learnt from, not an example to be followed. So I'm not a preacher. I'm a bad example that other people shouldn't follow. But I think a super practical little thing that we've introduced is
into our dynamic.
Or into our lifestyle dynamic is that we don't play on the first date, and set up a first date for a time when it's a limited time, breakfast, lunch, quick drinks after work before everyone's got to get home, so that and then if everyone likes each other, we're not hopefully going to die in the next fortnight or the next month or the next 6 months.
Yeah.
There's rush about it. You can always come back.
And that took you a long time to learn. I think you thought you were going to meet these people once, and if you didn't grab hold of it immediately,
and
the
then
opportunity
immediately
was going to
vaporise.
disappear.
And that's just silly. And that's a practical thing.
Yeah, but I think that's something that's actually pretty common, though, when you get into these types of relationships and swinging specifically, because you don't want to miss out on something that could potentially happen.
Sure, but I mean, you aren't. If the people are worth catching up with,
exactly. Yeah. No, it's good to be patient.
And it also gives that opportunity for everyone to go away and have a bit of a think.
Yeah.
Without it seeming like anyone's getting, rejected, or all this situation that Em has just described, the party pooper thing. Because, if you're having breakfast and everyone's got to run off to do this, that, or the other, no one's a party pooper. It's just the fact that we've actually got real life to live.
That's taken us a long time to get to.
But I'm just trying to make a suggestion that we could pass on to others that save going through the...
Well, like Mr. and Mrs. Jones say, and I came across them rather later than wish I had, or even, Swinger Diaries, all of the ones that we all listen to, regret the things you don't do, not the things you did. Well, we regretted every single thing we did.
I certainly regret it.
For a long, we got that.
Not every single thing we did. I mean, we didn't, but I certainly regretted
a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Well, and I think, going back to that, it's very easy when people get into this at the very beginning. The mindset can very easily switch to first of all, I can't believe this is actually happening. And so what if this doesn't keep happening, and this is our one chance to do everything that we ever wanted to do, so we have to do it tonight. And
that's exactly, you encapsulated exactly where Steve was in his life. At that, he thought, I'm turning 50. I'm paraphrasing you now, but I'm turning 50. I'm getting old. My life. I'm going to die
very soon. Probably when I'm 50 in 3 days.
But you went into this. I've got to do everything I haven't already done, and
But on the flip side, the hard part there is by going at it the way you went at it, and this isn't something that you can logically piece together at the time, I think, is that all of the things that happened would have been the reason that it never happened again, rather than if you had been able to take the time and enjoy it like you do now. It's now more of an infinite resource that you can come back. If it doesn't go well, you come back and try again. You can come back and try again, and you can meet different people and make each other feel safe. And that's what allows this to not be a finite resource for the two of you, not the let's cram it all into one crazy ass night or weekend or whatever. And
like our first night, we suddenly thought, oh wow, this is our opportunity to get every single fantasy that we've ever had, and we're going to squash it into
not every single one.
That's what the house party was for, right?
Yeah. So, but overall, it sounds like on both of your parts, but you've had a lot of growth and a lot of learning, and it's been, there's been a lot of stumbles along the way, and
a lot of face plants.
Yeah.
And I'm not polishing a turd, as we say here in Australia, but
that might be really rude in America.
Oh, no, many things are rude. But I'm super amazed and proud of Em that she has,
we've come through it.
Stuck with me.
But it wasn't even going to. But we're better. We're better. We're closer.
And we've had, and now we're having fun. It's a fun sort of, hobby like beekeeping or something like that. Well, you just don't want to get stung too much.
So that's the question that I mean, you touched on it a little, Em, but why did you stick with it? What kept you wanting to come back
Well, especially when, I mean, Steve said he wanted to choose the lifestyle. He was obviously, you know, not to put words in your mouth, Steve, but you were really facing that moment in your life where if I don't do it now, it's never going to happen. And most people, like if you in your shoes, might have taken a step back and be like, well, then I don't need this at this time. However, you've been together for a long time. You have a family together. There's a lot of other considerations.
Well, that's when the therapy came in, I think, that next week. And we discussed exactly that in those words.
Mm-hmm.
And the therapist said, you realise, she said to me, are you going to walk? Are you going to leave? And I said, yes, I am going to leave if. And I think that was possibly, was it a wake-up call? I think he just suddenly went, I'm going to lose everything that's dear to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't...
I think I got Finn, you'll get to this, as I've said, in many, many decades, but guys, if your listener is my age, it's not uncommon, I think, for guys of my advanced age to have this...
50.
Yes, very advanced age, darling.
Not really, but
have this sort of, weird, bloody head fuck that goes on for... And it was a bit of a mania for a while, and then I sort of came to my senses. I thought, what the hell? I've got this beautiful woman who I adore and has been by my side, and I want her to be by my side till I die. I'm not actually probably going to die till I'm...
I hope.
Immediately. So, it doesn't need to be like this. And thank Christ he stuck with me through it. So...
Because it wasn't...
Oh, I'm sorry, Em stuck with me through it.
And also, but it's not the lifestyle part of it per se that was upsetting me. It wasn't the sexual part of it. It wasn't we've made some beautiful friends who we love, who I consider to be part of our family now. We've fundraised with these people. We've done all these incredible things.
Great mates outside of...
right. Yeah.
And so that wasn't the issue. The issue was that I was being put in a situation where the person that trusted, that was meant to care for me the most, wasn't
showing that,
looking after me in a situation where I felt very vulnerable. And that is what was the cause of me leaving. It wasn't the lifestyle. It was that I was asking for some things that couldn't be met. And if they couldn't be met, I guess it could have been any situation. It didn't have to be the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That just happened to be the situation where I'd reached my...
Yeah. I think it would, I'd say just for that brief period, that sort of 6 months or whatever, I'd put it into a case of a spouse, a partner staying with their partner through a period of addiction to gambling, to drugs, to some bad vice, that had to be gotten rid of, maybe to Donald Trump.
They might have to edit that out.
No, that would be too...
We'll move on.
No, but I think that's a good point, and that was sort of the whole crux of what I was getting at. Is it would have been very easy. I think that the flip side of this you would normally hear is not someone in the relationship, in this case Steve, saying, I don't think I can give up the lifestyle, and the other partner saying, okay, well then I have to find a way to get on board with that. It would have been, I don't think I can keep going in the lifestyle, and the other person being like, okay, hey, then we're done because the marriage is more important than the lifestyle. And it sounds like for you, it wasn't that you didn't like the lifestyle. You enjoyed what you were getting out of it. It was, you didn't feel safe, and you didn't feel that the things you were asking for were being respected. And if you could get those, then let's go and have a great time because I'm getting something beneficial out of this.
Absolutely correct. 100% correct. I was 100% correct. I was meeting people that I enjoyed speaking with. I was meeting intelligent people. I was meeting clever people who were witty and funny and sexy. It was just that I didn't feel safe because my partner wasn't doing the things that you just said. You nailed it. 100% correct.
And since you've been able to start to get those things, have you seen now changes and shifts in your relationship, like improvements that have really like been highlighted now moving forward?
Oh, I think so. I think we've been in a very happy place for.
Look, we've moved forward in lots of ways, bringing it without trying to be crude or whatever, but just even bringing it back to our sexual relationship. I've never been terribly comfortable with you wanting to give me oral sex because I've always been like, oh, it's my body. Oh, I wouldn't.
We call it oral pleasure, darling.
Yeah, can you not use the S word? Come on.
But suddenly I find
that's a bit of a Pulp Fiction quote there.
But suddenly I find that I like women, which was a new thing for me. And
it's a coincidence. I like them too.
And so suddenly I'm like, this is really fun. Now I can see why you like this. So that has been great for us. When we've always had a great sex life, but that's something I've always felt that was something that I was taking rather than it would be enjoy. I don't know. So sexually, it's made me more confident, and that's made us closer, I guess, in that way.
Yeah. And I just think that the whole, the counselling that we went to and the whole lifestyle process I wouldn't for one second diminish the.
You wouldn't approach it in the way you've approached it?
No, I would not approach it in the way I approached it. And if I could turn back time, as Shu would say, I would turn it back. Not quite in the way that she would, but I can't do that. And with the, I think that we've really gained a lot in our, and I've gained a lot because I've become much more open emotionally. I think, and we're very.
We have a bit of language now, in the sense that I've been given some words where I can actually say, "This is a."
Damn.
This is a moment where you really need to listen, which is signal for I really fucking mean this. Don't just hear me. This is important.
Yeah. And I never want to. I'm very much the kid who's touched a burning stove, and I don't want to put my hand up. I've learned do not touch burning stove. Don't put hand on it again. Yeah. I hope I can. That lesson persists. And the other thing I'd say about the lifestyle, guys, and I'd be very interested in your feelings about this. Is it is wonderful thing to be able to just have a chat with another couple and to be able to talk about sexy things that you can't talk about with vanilla friends, even though you might not,
find each other attractive.
Yeah, you can just have a chat and stuff. There's no, it seems like there's no, it strips away the boundaries of normal social convention that means, I can't discuss this or that or the other.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel the same?
Oh, yeah. I think having open-minded friends, no matter whether, you have sex with them or not, it's all about having those open lines of communication, and you can have conversations about anything. And once you take those filters down, you immediately become much closer friends.
Yeah. Which has been, and that's another reason why I didn't, going back to Finn's question, I didn't want to walk away from the lifestyle because we made beautiful friends.
Mm-hmm.
People that have got open hearts and forget about all the sex stuff. It's just beautiful people.
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of answered the question I was going to ask before. I was just about to ask it. Is it, it sounds like at the beginning, Steve, you were very much in overdrive trying to make all of these things happen. And my question was going to be, now that things have slowed down and you've had to sort of walk some of that back, are you content with that? And it sounds like very much that you've realigned your entire strategy, and your goal is not now like, let's see how fast we can hang things in the hotel room. It's very much like, let's see.
Hotel rooms that have suitable beams.
The logistics of it were puzzling me, but this is not a structural engineering podcast, so I was avoiding it. But it sounds like you very much like, right, what you just said is that you've shifted your entire focus, and your entire strategy it's about meeting the people, and it's about enjoying the time together. And then if the swings get hung, that's perfect. If they don't, that's fine too. And
sure. And I mean, to say that I had a strategy would be to grossly over-exaggerate whatever is in my minuscule mind. So
a strategy.
Yeah, a strategy.
Like watching you play darts.
Yeah, what's that sort of...
Just aim at the board and hope you hit something.
No, 180. But yeah, absolutely, and just go with the flow, and lovely, and meet beautiful people, and if one thing leads to another, then that's great. If it doesn't, that's great too. So
yeah.
Awesome. And also there is in the lifestyle, everyone needs to accept. Well, I mean, first of all, there's going to be people that aren't everyone's cup of tea. That doesn't reflect on either couple, and I'll come back to another point in a second. Secondly, I think there are some people in the lifestyle, like there are in the general community, that most people, if they knew them, would say, avoid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These are not super people for one reason or another. And the other, but the point I was going to come back to was that the four-way connection is a very elusive thing, and that's not something you're going to find every day. So,
right.
I'd be interested in, I'm sure we'd be interested in your thoughts on that subject.
And also we, I don't know how we're going time-wise, but we thought we had found that, and then it turned into a three-way connection, which was also fucking with my mind, in the sense that, people want a relationship with you, and then somebody and I was getting emotions, and it was confusing, and it was a very difficult path when people are trying to. Well, we were so new, and three of us were getting on so well, and one wasn't, and it was. I found that really confusing. Yeah. When you add it into all the newness, it was just.
Well, I guess my sort of perfect thing would be a couple that everyone likes each other, and we all like each other. We would like each other if we met each other outside the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. If we end up having playtimes, that's great.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think that. I mean, you've described what a lot of people are looking for, and I think it is very hard to find. Have we found that? We've found bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
And we've made amazing friends, and we've had amazing experiences, and
but it takes time to find the right people, and it takes time and patience, and
I think it's also understanding that with those people, it can be like that for a while, and then it can fade out either on one end or the other, and it can come back in, and that like that to us is the mark of like a true friendship, is that if it fades out for a little while and then it comes back, and it's like you picked up where you left off, and like that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's, or that the dynamic shifts and changes over time, but you're still friends. Like that's
just like an old mate.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Your old mates you've had since we were kids. You know, you're always going to be friends. It's not always going to be quite the same.
But that's why I would disagree with you. I don't think I'm looking for the four-way connection, because I think the four-way connection would threaten.
But all I meant was as a friendliness thing. You know, that both the men and both the ladies, everyone likes each other.
But we have that. We have that with some of our lifestyle friends. I thought you meant a four-way connection where everyone is sort of
no, just
like the couple that we listened to, where you had 3 podcasts in a week recently.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not. I guess maybe to clarify, you're not looking for a polyamorous. We're going to start dating another couple.
A four-way friendship we've found already.
Yeah.
A four-way connection, I think, would be.
Oh,
well, it kind of is. A four-way friendship is a type of connection, right? It's just maybe you're not planning to go, into more of the polyamorous route, and that's okay. No. That's what works for you.
But I will warn you, none of the people in that dynamic were looking for what they found either. So
exactly,
be aware.
That's what I'm saying. I understand exactly what you mean when you said that. It's.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, and when
one wife should be enough for any bloke.
But the point being, when the three-way connection came up, and the husband said, can I pursue a relationship with me? And we had to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really challenging, particularly because I was the lagger. Mm-hmm. in the sense of how we were approaching the lifestyle. It was difficult because I didn't want to be there, and then I've got feelings, and there's feelings, and
And to clarify, you weren't the one who was being left out. You were one of the 3 who was going to be part of the 3-way connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, it was the bromance plus me.
In a routine way.
No. The brotherly connection, and then so that it was confronting. I found that quite scary.
But it sounds like, I mean, obviously you've been through ups and downs and a lot of different emotions, but you've always, it sounds like, even though it's difficult, you've been able to seek the help of a counselor, get some help talking through all of these things, figuring out how to handle some of the emotions, and also admit that you screw up and that you think, not everyone's perfect. And even from here on out, you still might make mistakes in the future, but you have a solid foundation that you're able to talk to each other and seek help when you need it. I think that's a key point that I wanted to mention, because people are afraid to seek help. And as you probably can attest to, it can be very important in how you move forward.
And I think we were in a little bit of a privileged position in that we'd sought help. We're both lawyers, but I come from somewhat of a medical background before I became a lawyer. And my approach has always been seek therapy before you need it rather than after. So we'd already been to see a therapist for, prophylactically for other things. So for me to say, I think we need to go and see a therapist was just a continuation of the maintenance that we'd always had in the marriage.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
What I'd add to that, Emma, and Em, and Finn too. I'm not excluding it. That it was, we were very, very lucky that we found a therapist who was,
especially where we live,
not judgmental, open to the lifestyle, etc., etc. And it, again, I'm not trying to tell other people how to run their lives, because Christ knows I'm in no position to do so. But I do think that the selection of the therapist is very important, because if you found somebody who was, you need to go and read your Bible a little bit and, get yourselves back on a track. And I'm not dismissing, religion. I'm a religious person myself, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But that's not what you want to hear. You want somebody who is not saying, "Oh my God, you should both go and incinerate yourselves immediately."
Right.
Yeah.
You want somebody who's open.
You mean you need to find a really great sex positive counsellor, which we were lucky enough to do.
And that's not necessarily an easy thing to do, depending on where you are.
No, it's not. And I think the other thing is you need, if you are seeking a counselor or therapist, if you try someone and it's not the right fit, don't be afraid to change and try someone else.
We have done that in the past, not on this particular occasion. Having said that, to go to a therapist and say, we've been to a therapist before, but to go and say, we've opened up our marriage, we've become swingers, we've had sex outside our marriage, was a terrifying for me to actually say, like to actually verbalize it to someone. And I was hoping she would ask Dave first, like, why are you here? And she said, Em, why are you here? And I had to say, it was, to be able to, it takes guts to say, because we had sex outside our marriage and we've broken our marriage vows and we're Christians and we're married, and that was tough. Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
We might have had to have a heart starter at the pub before we went in.
I think the other thing is that from my perspective, being the by far the most rule breaking and naughty one, is don't expect you're going to go to therapy and get patted on the head and say, Steve, you're a very good boy. You go, go home. Be prepared to go and hear some things that you don't want to hear. Yeah. Because you're not there to be patted on the back. You're there to be helped. Yeah. And helping can sometimes be hearing things that you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Well, and it takes guts and also the willingness to grow and reflect on yourself, and it's not easy.
Yeah. Somebody else can be harder than hearing it from your own, Jiminy Cricket.
Really. Yes.
Right.
Now we want to share with you one story before we leave, because I'm where the time is going, but our outing story.
I was actually just going to ask you that, because I know that we need to wrap up, but I want to hear that story, because if we don't ask you, listeners will ask us why we didn't ask you.
So
we don't want your listener to be left hanging.
Right, exactly.
That's Lauren and Richard who say they have one listener. Stop it. Our dear listener. No. So we thought it would be a great idea to, we didn't even think. That's the general story of our life. We don't think. Anyway, we had Steve's 50th in the remote town at the top of Western Australia and invited sort of 10 vanilla couples that we've been friends with for 20-odd years. 30-odd years, forever. Yeah. And it ended up more like, we didn't expect a lot of people to travel, and it's one of those things, everyone kindly came. Yeah. But then all of our swinging friends also came, and we've since realised it was a really bad idea to mix the two, because Steve's present for his 50th was a foam cannon. Because when we were at Desire, they had a foam cannon. Were you there when the foam cannon comes on? So we got home and Steve says, I have to have one of those foam cannons. So we buy a freaking foam cannon that arrives in a container from China that we have.
A lovely man in China made it for me.
And And so it gets trucked all the way up north, and it dissolves bikinis. This thing, it's crazy. It just, the bubbles come out, and
can you believe that? How it worked? Not know.
We don't know. Anyway, we get back to the house from this party, which we'd had on the beach. And there's enormous tide, so you've got to get off the beach, otherwise you're going to get swept away. So then we come back to our house, and I'm in the pool. The foam cannon's going. One of our friends says, "Your husband is in the kitchen kissing one of your guests." And I went, "Okay, so it seems we're going there." Right. So, but that was sort of, so then the Northwest swingers kind of think it's all on, and all of our vanilla friends have eyes like those big poppy goldfish whose eyes stick out the side of their head. Tell them what was said the next morning. Oh, because that night we'd done a fundraiser. Yeah, and we'd asked everybody to, the birthday was on the Saturday, and on the Friday night we'd done a fundraiser for kids with cancer and
a charity.
And asked everyone to contribute. Anyway, tell them what.
Anyway, the next night
when our mate is giving the speech at the 50th.
When my lovely old friend that I've known for, since we were teenagers, was giving the 50th speech, said, "I woke up this morning and I turned over to my wife and I said, I'm hungry and I'm a little bit disturbed."
Because of the night before.
So of the antics that he'd seen. So, there you go.
No, but then he says at the 50th, because he was delivering the speech, he said, "And thank you to everyone who donated to X and X Foundation. No. We're not quite sure about where the money's going. We think it's going to the town Swingers Society. However, moving right along."
So you mixed your lifestyle friends with your vanilla friends
with a foam cannon.
With a foam cannon, and then started making out with them, and then,
probably drinks,
and then the whole thing devolved.
Yes.
And excellent strategy.
Wow.
That's a really good idea.
It's just like a whole lifestyle journey. It's been an excellent strategy, Finn, from beginning to end.
So when you mix those groups and then stuff started happening, what did you think was going to happen? Of course, those vanilla friends were going to find out.
What did you think was going to happen?
I didn't really know, but thinking about it now,
this is prior to the
petrol and matches.
Prior to the therapy where I said you have to choose, by which stage I'm involuntarily outed.
Yeah.
It wasn't with the benefit of hindsight, it wasn't a cunning plan.
Well, I think
anytime you want some top quality, well thought out legal advice, just give me
yeah. You've got it. You've got it. Well, I think that we have learned a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
About what not to do.
But also parts of what to do when you screw up.
What to do, but I also think it's important for people to hear that when they make a mistake, that they're not the only ones who've ever made a mistake. And I know that is truly a valuable lesson, and I do mean that. I mean that sincerely.
Yes.
So.
I wish people could see your face.
I'm trying to be serious here, and nobody takes me serious. So, well, thank you both for sharing a lot of information and a lot of things and a beautiful story, whether it went perfect or not.
Yeah.
It seems like you've ended up in a pretty good spot at the moment, and we're happy to hear that even with all those mistakes, that you can bring it around and still be laughing together and enjoying date nights out. So thanks for spending your date night with us.
Yeah. And I mean, we also know like reliving some of that is not always easy. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing.
But it is funny.
It is funny.
It's very funny. And I tell you what, there's nothing we like better than laughing at ourselves.
Oh, no, if you can't laugh at yourself, do not get into the lifestyle. In fact, better still, don't be born.
Perfect advice and a wonderful
way
ending
to end.
now.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
yeah,
guys.
thank you both. Have a wonderful night. We'll have a wonderful day here, and we
Thank
will
you
be
so
in
much.
touch.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
And we're back, right?
We are back. Yes, that's correct.
Thanks to MNC for sharing their
Emily.
story. Emily. Well, she calls herself M, so I keep calling herself M.
It's just fun to interrupt you.
We had a blast talking to them, and yes, we hope that everyone learned some things from this story as well. And they hope that
Especially
too.
what a toaster strudel is, if you were not aware.
Yep.
That was the main takeaway today. Toaster strudels versus Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
Not sponsored by either.
I was going to say there's a lot of other takeaways.
Unless you're listening, we're open.
to be sponsored by one of them. Anyway, couple quick announcements before we wrap up. First, STDcheck.com. If you're looking for a place to go get tested for STDs, please check out the link at our resources page. You can get $10 off your testing panel. It's super quick and easy. You don't have to have that awkward conversation with your doctor, and you get your results very quickly. So
Via text.
yeah, so go check that out. Second,
You're pointing at me. It's not my underwear.
no. That's true.
We've also had some conversations with The Enclosed, which is with the founder of The Enclosed, which is a mail order subscription-based lingerie gifting service.
Right.
So
They actually sent me a pair, and it was super cool. They're boxed really beautifully. They're really comfortable.
anyway, thanks for that. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Wow. You can get
$25 off if you use the offer code Emma25, and yeah, give them a try. They're not necessarily a sponsor of the show. They just are offering the listeners this, and it was we'd like to support another small business. So please check them out. They're awesome, and we're happy to be supporting their cause.
Yep. And next week, we have an interview with Kenneth.
It's a good one.
Yes.
If you don't believe me, come back next week.
It's a really good one.
I will say the description self-described the best way that he described himself. Amish, atheist, polyamorist.
Yep. That's exactly what he said.
All in one neat little bundle.
Yeah. Or non-monogamous too.
Yes. So we don't talk much, surprisingly.
Yeah, he takes over the show in a good way.
And we both kind of just listened in awe. And so we hope you enjoyed as much as we did, and we're excited about that one.
Yep, so come back next week, everyone.
We will see you then.
Thanks for listening.